Hey there, my friends. So let's talk about what it's really like to be a solopreneur in the life of logistics in the second half of 2024. Hey there, my friends. Welcome back to Logistics Life. Today, I've got a very, very special episode for you. I've got a gentleman with me that I think is going to be one of the next superstars in this industry. And a lot of times when we set out to do things, when we set out to accomplish tasks, when we set out to achieve big goals, when we set out to redefine an industry like logistics, right? A lot of people I'm speaking to these days, they were ex truck drivers, they were ex mechanics, they were ex something in logistics, and they saw how people get treated. They saw the process. And I think now it's less of a this is a industry where I can get rich and more of a I understand how valuable this industry is. And I also understand how people are not honoring their word, for lack of a better term. And my guest, Joshua Haskins, today, um, amazing individual, and you'll get to meet him in just a second because this man decided from a diesel mechanic, decided to say, you know what? I can help people at a higher level. And this is the intention he brings to the market every day. And I know a lot of you out there, you're struggling. We're going through rejection whiplash. We're going through, rejection slumps. We're dealing in a lot of situations in logistics that honestly have not even seen even in the 2008, 2009 crash. Hopefully we're coming out of the Marianas Trench, for lack of a better term. And it's interesting because on the weekend I was reading over one of my personal development books, and somebody had said a slump is simply a grave that you're digging a tunnel with. And I thought about that for a second and I said, wow, like the slump we can come out just like you can climb out of a hole. But how do you do it? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Josh, thank you so much for being here, brother. I know we're going to get pretty personal today, and I honor and respect you for coming out. But you know what? I mean, like I've said to you, gosh, I don't know how many times now, you have a story that I think people want to hear. I really believe it. I don't think, I believe it. And what I'll do is I'll just let you kind of explain to people a little bit where you come. I gave them just a brief overview, but I really like you to share that story about where you came, what happened, and what made you decide that what we need to start our own business. And let's get. And then after that, we'll play in the sandbox of what it is to be a solopreneur.
Absolutely. So, like you said, my name is Josh Haskin. I own a company called Romad Logistics. We're based out of Clarksville, Tennessee. I am a certified Mac and Volvo Master Tech. That's where I've spent my career. The last 5, 6 years, I've been working on trucks and managing. And I built some relationships, some very good relationships with a lot of drivers. And what I found towards the end of last year, the beginning of this year, was I was seeing more and more people not being able to pay their bills to get maintenance done on their truck. And I'm not talking about big maintenance. I'm talking about maybe you have two tires blow out and come in and you get a bill for $1,200 for two tires, which is outrageous. And they not be able to pay it. Or they would tell me, well, I guess I'm not eating today because I have to fix the truck.
Mm,
And I was hearing that more and more often. So I started asking questions like, why? Why? Why is the money not there right now? Why don't you have the money? What's going on with the market? And the more I asked this question, the more I got, well, I feel like we're getting taken advantage of on the loads. And I feel like the market with the loads keeps getting driven down to where we can't make anything. I've seen recently where I've been trying to get loads where people are wanting to pay $1.85 a mile, $1.75 a mile, and they expect drivers to run that. And it's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. That blows my mind. But that those conversations that I had sparked this in something inside of me to where I wanted to help. And I felt the best way for me to help was to become a broker, because I was hearing these brokers are bad. They're taking advantage of us. They're lying to us. And it just put a bad taste in my mouth
Mhm.
hearing these things. So I started looking into broker and what it takes to become a broker and what to do. And I was like, I can do this. This isn't hard. I'm doing this every day anyway. I'm calling companies to get payment, calling companies to get shipment of tires and parts. Like, this is what I do every day anyway.
Mhm.
I'm just doing it as a mechanic. So I need to transition over to be a broker. And it's been tough. I have really found out that, I didn't know everything that I thought I knew.
Mhm.
So it's a learning process.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm committed to this. I want to help. I feel like that's what I'm here for. That's what I was put on this earth for, was to help people. And this is the industry that I've been in since I was a child. My parents, my grandparents, they all drove trucks. So this is an industry that I've been connected to since a baby.
Mhm.
And this is where I felt like I could make the most impact. So we're just going to keep pushing and try to make an impact on people's lives and try to help people.
I've always said a legacy starts with one person, right? Just one. Just one. You help one person see a change. You help one person experience a change. You help one person think differently. Um, and I believe you've won as a human being, right? And especially if it's a motivating, positive way. I mean, obviously not a negative way, but a positive way of doing it. So, um, again, my man, I honor you for doing what you're doing. I mean, you started a company in one of the worst economic cycles in logistics that we've seen in a very, 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 very long time. Been 30 years in the industry. Um, so, with that, I know before we started to hit record and go live here, we were talking about some of the stresses that come along with it, because I see it like this. I know a ton of sales reps that say, "Oh, you know what? I'm making all these sales, and the company's making all the money, and da da da." And I don't think people really understand the stress that comes with running a company, the stress that comes with, starting a brand new company. I've done it a couple of times. And I can remember the first company I started, I had a guaranteed salary from the owners because I was an operating partner. And it was like a breeze. It was a breeze, man. It was
Yeah.
so easily done. And then you have the other side of the coin where you're bootstrapping a company and you're trying to start. So share with us a little bit, if you don't mind, some of the pressures that happen with it, because you're not only at the point of starting a company. It's like when you move freight, you now have to pay a carrier. You got to get the money from the customer. Like, there's a lot of connection points that need to really start working. So can you share with the audience a little bit about, especially the story that we had last week, where everything was coming to a head, and then last week it was like this crystal clear vision showed up. I'd love for you to share that story, because I think that is going to be something that's critical, because you said something very important a minute ago, where you said, I felt like this is what I was called to do. And I think when we're called to do something from a higher power, things change, our perspective changes, and things align. So I'd love for the audience to hear your story on that, Josh.
Absolutely. So the last 2 weeks, I've really been stressed out because things haven't been going quite the way I want them to go. And I've been getting really close on getting loads moved, like really, really, really close. And for some reason or another, it just seems to fall through at the end.
Mm.
And that was really weighing on me mentally and emotionally. And, I'm everything in my company. I'm a one man show. I
Hmm.
do everything. I have financed it. I'm doing the work every day. I'm doing the paperwork. I'm making the phone. I'm everything. I am the show. So I really got to a point to where I felt like I was burning myself out. I mean, I'm spending 18 hours a day on this company every single day, and I'm losing time from my family, and not just from my family, but losing the time that I need for myself to reflect and grow.
Mhm.
And last week, I was watching the Republican National Convention, not to get political or anything. And this lady come on stage and shared her story, and she was in logistics. And when she started sharing her story, I felt like something just slapped me, like something just hit me. Physically, I felt it. And for the next 10 minutes, I couldn't take my eyes off of her. And that ended, the show ended, and I was still thinking about it. So I went to the gym, and it's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm at the gym, and I'm in there working out. And I get done working out, and I get in the shower. And I'm sitting in the shower, and I just start hearing this voice in my head to email her and to pursue this, find her email, find how to get in contact with her, and send an email. And it was crystal clear. And I felt crazy because I don't hear voices. I don't talk to myself. Like, that's not something that's normal for me.
Hmm.
But I come home, and 2:30 in the morning, I'm writing an email, and I'm just sitting here pushing the keys on the keyboard. Like, there's no thought. There's no, this is what you need to write. I'm just writing.
You're in the
And this
zone.
email that I wrote, yeah, this email that I wrote, I've never wrote anything like this before in my life, honestly. And the hair on my arm are standing up now. Like, this is how real it feels to me. So I sent that email, and I know there's something else that I need to do, but I'm not sure what it is yet. But I really got into my Bible this weekend
Hmm.
and started praying and reflecting spiritually. And the message that I got was to keep pushing, keep working, and keep fighting, because something is going to break, something is going to give. And I just feel, I'm happy. I feel happy. I I don't feel this stress anymore. I've got bills, I've got all kinds of bills coming up, but I'm comfortable, and I'm confident that I'm going to be able to take care of them. And to be able to explain that is hard for me to do,
Yeah.
but that is 100% what happened. I mean, I just had this experience that kind of made me look at myself and kind of reflect with myself. And what I was saying, I feel like I'm trying to grow into the person that I'm supposed to be. And I'm in the middle of making that transition right now.
Hmm.
And in order to get to that next level or that next step, there's some things in myself that I have to kill. And I'm working on that right now. And I'm leaning on my faith to kind of guide me on that. And of course, you help me tremendously. You're always available to talk, and I appreciate that. And I have a couple other mentors that help me tremendously. But I mean, I had one conversation with you this weekend, and that was it. I didn't bombard you with what was going on. I'm really, really personally trying to figure this out. And I think that it's going to come from inside me. And that's how I'm going to win.
So I think
And
everything comes from inside you, brother. Um,
yeah,
I think a lot of the times when it comes to, like, don't get me wrong, I've got three mentors in my life right now, and you yourself are a mentor to me because watching you operate gives me energy to operate, if that makes sense. And
yeah,
not very many people understand it, but when you can see people that you're helping escalate and grow, it really makes you look at yourself and say things like, okay, what can I do to be more productive? What can I do to give myself as much as it's very tough to believe in work life balance, because I don't think we'll ever have, when it comes to time, excuse me, time balance. I look at it and, I'm ending the day at 5, sometimes 6. I'm in bed by 10. So there's, 5, 6 hours where I'm up at 5, working, pushing, doing what I need to do, managing my team, building, innovating, vision, all these kind of things. But it's the quality of time. And it's something that I had to learn because I was all about work, like 18 hours a day. I mean, I remember my wife coming into the office and saying, like, you're trying to help all these other people. What about your family? Like, to that point. And this is also where home-based businesses or solopreneurs get really tied up, right? But when you came to me last week with that story, um, I truly believe when we have those moments, they're the game changers in our life. And there's one thing that I can share with you that I've been through a million times. Probably a lot of the audience, if you've experienced what Josh has been through, you'll probably really understand what I'm saying. And Josh, you might have already felt this. I know it was only a week ago, but you might have felt it, where you have this like incredible feeling like what you just described, where it. There's going to be days of self doubt. There's going to be days when you doubt what you're able to do. And all I could tell you is just try your hardest to eliminate that from your head as fast as possible, because I believe when you have those visions, that's the vision that tells you you can do it. And it's just your, lizard brain or whatever the piece of Abdullah blah 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 or whatever they call it, which then comes in and says, well, you can't do it. You've never done it before. But your vision of growing into the person, I always call it learning into the person I want to be, because it's really what we need to do. You went from saying, okay, I got a vision. I'm going to open this brokerage to help people. And you just said it. Like, I had no idea how in depth it was, because if you would have known, you probably would have never done it. And I think that is one of the most beautiful things with creators like yourself and people that challenge the norm is you don't really look at the difficulty of doing it. You're just like, okay, well, I'm going to do this. And you jump into it. And I think that's where most businesses were born. Like, I think that is where the great, trendsetters, the people that truly change their environment directly around them. I'm not even talking the world. I'm talking your direct environment, right? Because as you progress through this, you're changing the life of your wife. You're changing the mindset of your children and how they think of success and how they think of productivity and how they think. And these are some of the greatest things in life that we can change. Forget about the industry as a whole. Your direct circle is seeing something in you and they're taking note. And I can guarantee you, my friend.
I 100% agree with that. And the main reason that I'm doing this is for my children first and foremost, and my wife. And let me just shout out my wife for a minute. So we've been doing this for about 4 months. I quit the shop and I've been doing this for about 4 or 5 months now. She has been working her tail off to keep this household going, and she's unbelievable. She'll go in there and work from 7 to 4, get off work, come in here, work with me for a couple hours, get done working with me, go cook dinner, take care of the children, their homework, their soccer, whatever they got, get done with that, and then still have time to sit down and reflect with me and talk with me and really boost me up. And then she goes to sleep and wakes up the next morning and does it all over again. And she does it every single day. And it's to the point to where she's got this app on her phone and she's getting paid like $5 or $10 to go in like a Walgreens to take pictures of like some display in there. So on the weekend, she was gone all day Saturday, making $70 just going around Walgreens and stores taking pictures, while I'm here trying to figure out what's going on with the business and how to make this business work. And if I did not have her backing me that like that, I would have quit 2 months ago and went back to the shop. I'm getting offers every week from the shop.
Oh, I bet.
$35 an hour, $38 an hour. Come back. We need you.
Yeah, diesel mechanics
And
are
it's
in
really
high
starting to get
need
good.
right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's really tempting. It's really, really tempting, especially now. But I think I'm at a crossroad right now. And I think depending on which way I go is going to map out the next 20, 30 years of my life.
Could be.
And it's real. It is real. The feeling is real. The mindset is real. And I'm just trying to figure myself out to be able to move in the right direction.
It's not as easy as people make it seem, is it?
No,
Yeah, it's
no.
one thing that I realized right away. I mean, you could get all the programs in the world. You can get, and I think about my training programs and I'm sharing, oh, well, just do this, this, and this. And it's not always as easy as we make it out to be. And,
Yeah.
you know, I can share something with you as being through it, going through what you're going through many times in my life. It does get easier. That's the thing, is it does get easier. And I think these moments, it's interesting. Last week I had Coach Dan on the show, Dan Gordon on the show. And we were talking about this, challenge in entrepreneurship, because really we're entrepreneurs. Anyone who's a salesperson on commission is an entrepreneur. And I was saying to him, I got told my whole time, no, entrepreneurs, we go through tough times. We go through tough times. We have to hit these obstacles in order to understand. Like in other words, you got to have a bad paycheck in order to understand what a good paycheck is, right? If you didn't have a bad day, you would never have a good day because you wouldn't know what the difference was. And I've looked at that so many different times, Josh. And, part of me started asking myself the question, well, if we know this is happening, we're putting this out into the universe, are we making the challenges happen to us, for us? And the reason I say that is because I remember vividly one year, it was December 9th, it was my birthday. And I decided that I wanted to get 25 top selling authors together to talk about Christmas gratitude and a New Year's revolution. Now, think about this
Mhm.
for a second. By the time I put it all together, we're talking the 11th of December. So, like 9th, 10th, and 11th was planning and strategy, what I wanted to talk about, kind of mapping out the key individuals. And it was really interesting because not once did I think of why somebody couldn't make it. Do you know, I asked 21 people, and all 21 of them, and I'm talking like Don Green from the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Greg Reed, New York Times bestselling author, Brian Biro, America's Breakthrough Coach, Andrea Waltz, author and speaker. Like, I'm talking huge, Nito Cobain, all these huge, Randy Gage, all these huge, influential people. And not one of them said no. And I remember my wife saying to me after it was all done, she said, do you even realize what you just did? And I was just like, no, what? What do you mean? I don't understand. And she said, like, you just went to 21 really busy people, and they gave you an hour of their time, most of which to give an hour speech would charge $15,000, $20,000. And all of them did it. And we put it out, and it was a massive success, helped tons of people. And this is what happens when you follow a vision. These are why people are coming into your corner. These are why people are helping you, guiding you, giving you the arm or the shoulder to lean on when things are happening. And I honor you for that, my man, because I know where you're coming from. And I mean, I hope that inspires you just to not give up, to keep going. And I know, I don't even think that you needed to say that to inspire you, because I think you're already like, you got this fire in your belly and it's burning, brother. Like you got that coal that's never gonna go out. It could be a hurricane, and that fire's still gonna roar at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, Dan. So, and I've had to learn, and I'm still learning. I mean, this is a 2, 3 week thing that I'm talking
Hmm.
about. I am the nastiest to myself.
Yes.
And what I mean by that, I'm my biggest critic.
Yep.
Everything I do, I am critiquing it.
Hmm.
And it became the last couple weeks. Well, you didn't get this because you didn't do something right. Something you did in this was wrong, and you don't know what it is. And maybe you don't know what you're doing. And maybe you can't do this. And that was the thought that I had going through my head. I know we spoke a couple weeks ago. You kind of caught me right in the middle of that,
Yep.
and you helped 100%. And I go get on the phones that day, like you told me. That's that very day, and within an hour, I had 30 lanes to quote.
Hmm.
Now I'm still working these, but it was like that, and that's when I started kind of looking, what is going on here,
Hmm.
what is happening.
Do you
And then
think
I
maybe,
had,
Josh, sorry to interrupt, do you think maybe that you dodged a bullet when the other customers didn't come in? Like, and
yeah,
I think of this quite a bit, right? Because I look at customers we've lost. I look at customers that I see students lose. I look at customers that I see friends and colleagues in the industry lose. And part of me says, and I'd love your thoughts on this, part of me says it's the universe saying, you know what? I want you to succeed. And I don't want you to waste your time, energy, and effort because I see that you're on that verge, right? You said you were at a crossroads. And I'm wondering if the reason the other ones didn't work out is because if you would have went down that road, it would have been a road you've been down before. You know, I often think of that scene in the Matrix when Neo says, "Stop the car," in the original Matrix. And he opens the door and it's raining and there's that long alley, right? And Trinity looks at him and says, "Neo, you've been down that road before. You know where it ends." And I often think of that because I look at these things as such a possibility for change and for a new opportunity. And the thing is, if you're not chasing this opportunity, you've opened up the door for this opportunity. What are your thoughts on that?
I couldn't agree more. And I think everything happens for a reason,
Mm,
and we may not understand what the reason is when it happens. And how we react to these situations ultimately gives us what's going to happen in the future, or lays our path, if you will. And I've really been reflecting on this, and praying and trying to figure this out. I'm at a point in my life to where I refuse to go backwards. I
mm,
know what going back to the shop entails. I know I'll pay my bills. I know I'll have money, but I'm not going to see my kids. I'm not going to see my wife, and my body's going to break on me. It's just going to happen. So I know that road. What I can see at the end of this road that I'm traveling right now is freedom. That's that's what I want. I want the freedom to be able to go to my kids' soccer practices and soccer games. I want the freedom to, if my kids want to go to Disney World, I don't have to go ask permission to go to Disney World. That's that's where I'm wanting to go. And in order to get that freedom, I've got to put in the work now to
mm,
build that freedom. And let me tell you, that's the hardest thing I've ever tried to build. This is the hardest thing I've ever tried to build. And
mm.
I'm determined. I'm going to get it. Somebody's going to work with me. I know that. And I keep telling
1000%.
myself, yeah, I keep telling myself I'm one shipper away from changing my life.
Hmm.
It's wrote on my board right here. I've got it wrote on my board. I've got some quotes from you up above my computer here that I look at every day. My biggest thing is mindset. I can get in a dark place really quick. And if I can keep myself from getting consumed by that darkness, I'm going to win. That's just how my life has been. Once I can figure out how to keep that darkness from taking over me, I win. And I really feel like I'm on the verge of beating it right now. And
I think your mindset is
it's scary.
amazing. Amazing, my man. Like, I honor you again for your mindset, for what you're trying to accomplish, and really what you're going to accomplish. Let's take trying out of the equation here. What you're really going to accomplish. And, you know, as we sit here, looking at the markets, the way they're kind of trying to, I feel like they're trying to rebound and they get smacked on the head and then they go back down. They're trying to rebound, they get smacked on the head and they go back down. You know, I see the industry as needing more Joshes. And I think there's customers out there that are just waiting for you. I mean, you and I have had this conversation before, right? They're just waiting for you to call on them and say, hey, listen, this is what I believe in. This is what I'm doing. So, I mean, I honor you for being here. I honor you for sharing your story, for being so vulnerable and opening up. And, you know, I think that's your first step towards greatness, is this piece of the puzzle, you know, and to have the support of your wife. I mean, listen, Henry Ford said pretty much verbatim what you just said, right? Like, without his wife, there would be no Ford Motor Company. You know, we
Yeah.
need people that can stand beside us and help us. And I think everybody needs that. And, you know, again, man, you're working in harmony, you know, and I see it coming, brother. I honor you for the grind. I honor you for the belief. I honor you for the continuous effort you're putting in. It's going to pay off.
Well, I appreciate it. And, I thank you so much for giving me a platform to come on here and speak.
Of course.
And because this helps me tremendously, and it helps me get my name out, and it also helps me personally,
Hmm.
being able to get my thoughts out to somebody who's honest,
Oh, thank you.
and not trying to take advantage of me.
Yeah, 100%. Now,
And I see
here's what
that.
I do want, if you can, if you could do me a favor. Share with the audience, anyone who's out there struggling, what words of advice, words of wisdom, words of encouragement do you have for them?
The night is darkest before the dawn, and if you keep pushing, you are eventually going to see that daylight. And that comes from the military. The military kind of taught me that, like, the night is darkest before the dawn. So that's simple. It's short, but that's what I believe. Just keep pushing, and you're eventually going to see that daylight.